So, welcome all to the live training. Um, the topic that we want to cover today is, of course, August is starting and everybody wants to make a few new clients. Why not? And the best way, the easiest way, and also without spending money on ads and so on right away, I think the best way is to use the relationship selling, relationship economy. I really firmly believe that um, we as human beings are changing, and that we are less and less falling through the trap of hard pushy sales techniques, autobot messages, and so on. And I really think that we've entered um, the relationship economy, um, or we are slowly entering that, where building relationships will matter more and more and more. And this is already something that the ones who are in the leverage of trust, you're very familiar with this whole concept. But yeah, I wanted to address that from a perspective of getting a few new clients, 3 to 5 clients in the next 30 days, pretty much effortlessly, because you really need about half an hour to an hour a day. And at the end of this, I'll let you know about a nice little thing that I just created, and it's a nice daily checklist of all the things that you have to do. Super simple, easy steps, and really all you need is half an hour to an hour a day. And I know it might sound too easy, but when you do these things properly, when your intentions are set properly, it really works that way. So how can we apply this lesson in this challenging time? I think with the whole craziness going on around the world, and it doesn't look like it's stopping, the corona and elections and different world leaders and this and that, um, we are more inside, and we are even more lacking that social aspect where we were just going outside and hanging out with our friends and having coffees and so on. And those things have changed a little bit and are a little bit challenging. But so we as human beings, we are a very social beings. And so if somebody is building a relationship with us, or we are building a relationship with somebody, we might become very quickly very good friends and develop what the whole behavior of purchasing and building trust is the know, like, and the trust. Every single purchase decision goes through these 3 steps. Now, of course, it's different if it's an app for $2 on the iPhone, because you don't need much trust to buy that, unless you are from a country where even $2 are a very meaningful amount of money. Then you will do quite a lot of research, and you will really want to trust the app that it can do what you want to do with it before you will buy it. But every single thing, if you just look back in time and just think of a few recent purchases that you've made, and you will see that it's because you trust the brand. Why do you buy this milk and not that milk, or this yogurt or not, or that yogurt? Why do you buy this handbag and not that handbag? It all is based on the know, like, trust journey. Everything is know, like, trust journey. And so when we are doing relationship selling, we are taking people through the know, like, and trust, but we are doing that in a very human and personal way. And because of that, we are building trust more efficiently, faster, and trust is by far the most valuable currency in your business. Ask any marketing CMO manager of any big corporation or small, anybody who is in sales. The whole point of all the things in our business that we do for generating cash flow is building trust. That's the sole purpose of marketing. Building brand is actually building trust. If I buy from Apple, it's because I trust Apple. If I buy from Samsung, it's because I trust Samsung, and so on. Tesla, I support and I trust in Tesla, and so on. So everything is about trust, and trust is by far the most important currency in your business. So there are two things. Where can we find trust, and where can we build trust? Now, we are in different stages in our business, and because we are in different stages, we have different networks, or how big those networks are. And so the bigger your network, you can find trust within your network. Now, if you are fairly new and your ideal clients are not already in your network, then we have to find them and we have to start building trust. So those are the two different things that we have to be mindful. Of course, the easiest version is, and the fastest, and then you'll probably sell even more than just 3 to 5 products, is if you already have an established network or an established audience that likes and trusts you, because you just go there and you can fast forward the process. But if you don't have an audience, you can build it on the same principles. It will just take a little bit longer. And the way this whole thing is done, even if you have 0 audience, you can build the trust to the point where you can make 3 to 5 sales. You just have to be consistent. Small little daily actions are way more important than a few big steps that you do throughout the month. Every single day, that's the important thing. And that's also the cheat sheet that I'm gonna share with you guys. That's all about. Now, what do we do? Well, the easiest thing is, let's go to people we already have trust with. So, the ones who are in the Leverage of Trust group, you're already familiar. What do? We download or we export all the contacts from LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, from our phone, from our email account. And we go through those lists and we start making a list of either people who we feel would be our ideal client or people who might know them. So let me use examples by you guys who are here. So let's say I'm a business coach and I'm looking for new entrepreneurs. And now Simona is connected with a whole bunch of new entrepreneurs, but she is doing stuff for corporations. But those new entrepreneurs are her friends. Well, so she can connect me to my ideal clients. So trust can also be transferred. It's not only when we have it and we don't have it, but it can also be transferred from one person to another. So I would call that leveraging our network's network. Now, the first and most important thing, I guess, is who is your ideal client? How clear you are on that. And often, for me, it was very hard to figure out who is my ideal client and how do I find them online. But the whole thing was much, much easier once I asked myself a simple question. Well, if I would go to a networking event in person, and there's a room of 500 people, they're coming from all walks of life, all colors and genders and all of that, and I only have an hour. So who would I go to? How would I choose people that I even go to? And what are the 2 or 3 questions that I would ask in the beginning of the conversation to pre-qualify whether they really fit an ideal client of mine and that it's worth spending next 10 to 15 minutes having a conversation with them. So having a clear picture of who is your ideal client is super, super important. Otherwise, this exercise will not help you too much because you have to figure that out first. Otherwise, you will be just connecting randomly and the message that you're trying to communicate and the product that you're trying to offer will not resonate with those people. So knowing and understanding who's your ideal client is very, very important step in this whole strategy. Now, to help yourself, to make your life easier, of course, you can put things on a piece of paper. Of course, you can use Google Sheets or Microsoft Excel or something like that, but it's very hard to keep the information, understand when did we connect, what's the link to their social media profile, what do I have to do next, when do I follow up, when should I engage in my next outreach, and so on. It's very hard to do it manually. So to make your life easier, there are plenty of CRM, which stands for Customer Relationship Management. So there are plenty of CRM tools out there. A lot of them are free, or at least they have some basic plan that is limited to a few hundred or a few thousand users before you have to pay. Of course, there are better solutions or more advanced solutions that you can pay for. The most popular one probably is Salesforce. But for this particular thing, something like Salesforce is probably a huge overkill. I know that HubSpot is a good solution, and I think it's free, or at least they have a free option. Capsule CRM that I talk in the Leverage of Trust course is free to, I don't know, I think 250 contacts, which you won't make in a month anyway. So even going with a capsule CRM, and after you make 3 to 5 sales, you can easily upgrade for $10 or $15 a month. So just Google CRM and you'll find plenty of solutions. Whatever you choose, it will probably be an overkill on what you need, because you really need just the basic stuff. So I can't think of any CRM that wouldn't do the job for this particular thing. So once we set up the foundation, so we made a list and we entered that into the CRM, and we made a strategy to connect and recognize our ideal clients and connect with new ones, and then we just add them into the CRM as we meet them on a daily basis. Oh, and maybe I can go back a little. So where can we meet our ideal clients? Where we meet them where they are. Of course, we can meet them offline, but maybe in these crazy times, it's a little bit harder, or maybe you're located on one side of the world and your ideal clients are on the other side of the world. So the best way to meet them is, of course, in the online world. Now, in the online world, you have so many different things. You have free masterminds where people hang out and they learn, and maybe they can be your ideal client, so you can just join the mastermind. There are paid masterminds that you can join where potentially your ideal clients could be. Facebook groups. You can find them on Instagram by using hashtags and stuff like that, or the influencers that your ideal client is following. On LinkedIn, you can find them in LinkedIn groups. LinkedIn groups are not the best thing in the world, but some people are in those groups, so you can find them there. Another good thing is to find people who they follow, maybe an influencer, and then engage with them through the comment section with thoughtful comments, and then taking that to the next step by sending a connection request. I was just explaining earlier, before you guys jumped in, to Agnes, who is here with us, that I just had a conversation with a client of mine, and she's doing all of this on LinkedIn. And the funny thing was that in the beginning, when she would connect with people and then send them a message, not many of them would actually reply back. It was around 20% of people who actually replied back. So the 80% saw her messages mostly, but never replied. And then, I told her that you need to warm up the relationship. You need to be the genuine human being. And you need to relax. You need to get out of your head when you're creating relationships. Relationships have nothing to do with logic. It's all the heart and the emotions and being a genuine human being. And she was overthinking constantly. She was constantly in her head. I need to make the marketing research. I need to have the conversation. I need to ask all the right questions. And then her messaging was very robotic. And then I asked her, like, can you share the screen and just show me a bit of your communication? And when she showed me that, I saw I would never reply back as well. I mean, long sentences, grammar perfectionism, and all the fake politeness and acknowledgement and all of that. And then I told her, like, you need to get out of your head and just have fun, and just, be chatty like you would be with a friend. And well, I said, if you need to, just have a glass or two of wine or whiskey or whatever, floats your boat. And if that helps to relax you a little bit, then do it. And yeah, she reported back that after 2 weeks of doing that, she saw her numbers increase to around 60%. So she almost tripled the amount of people who reply back and have a conversation with her. And she's reporting that her conversations are so much more enjoyable, and people are getting into her ecosystem faster, and many are asking her about her services and so on, and she's jumping on calls, on sales calls, and it really created not just more communication, but better communication, a more human communication. And that's really the important part. Whether you are warming up a relationship or creating a new relationship, it's important to remember you have to be a genuine human being and get out of your head. Stop thinking about sales, stop thinking about marketing, stop thinking what question do I have to ask, and just really build relationship first. Of course, we are in business and we want to make sales. So, I mean, this is a tricky one. I like to call it, we have to be sometimes mindlessly mindful, which means that we want to be mindless, so out of our head, but we still want to maintain a little bit of mindfulness as the relationship develops, to sense when we can take it to the next step. And sales doesn't have to be icky. A lot of people, especially new entrepreneurs, one of the biggest struggles is actually, oh, if I go into business, now I will have to be salesy and icky, and I'll have to do things like the used car salesmen do or the insurance agents do. And it doesn't have to be that way. But I don't know if you can see me, but there is like a direct correlation between relationship or the trust and the salesiness. So the less relationship, the less trust we have, well, the more for the kill, for the close we have to go, more salesy we have to be. But then as we are building the relationship, there comes a time where it really becomes all just about making an invitation. And 30 days is a whole lot of time. If you approach this in a way where you will do things consistently on a daily basis, and like I said, I actually made a template or a cheat sheet of all the steps for the foundation, and then all the steps for doing the daily routine. And it actually takes you about half an hour a day, and I think it's like 3 or 4 steps or 5 steps, and one of them is have fun. If you do it in that way, you can very quickly, human to human, build a relationship that will end up in making the invitation, taking that conversation to the next level, and exploring the opportunity of working together or buying your product, your services, and so on. So that's really the very basic stuff. Now, as you're building a relationship, as you're building trust, I really would like you to be mindful again that you don't abuse that trust, that you don't lie, cheat, just to get somebody to buy something from you, overpromise, or anything like that. Because once you lose that trust, you don't just lose it with that person, but that person will probably share their bad experience with other people. And even though social media is this huge country of its own with, I think, over 3 billion people on Facebook, bad word can still go out super quickly. And so, yeah, to recap the whole thing, if you want to create those 3 to 5 sales starting today before the 1st of August, and you want to create those 3 to 5 sales or even more in the month of August, what you have to do is first sit down with all your lists and make a list of your ideal clients or people who know your ideal clients. If you don't know what an ideal client looks like, then this would be a great time to have that conversation with yourself and to really put a bit of an effort into figuring that out. Because without that, the whole thing will be very, very hard to accomplish and do, because you will just not be talking to people who need to hear what you have to say. And you'll probably not use the words that they want to hear. So that's on one hand, is to make a list. On the other one, think, where can I find my ideal clients? Where do they hang out? Mompreneurs, they are in groups on Facebook all about kids and soccer moms and this and health and so on. Millennials, lady millennials, they're often in health related groups, healthy food, healthy diet, fit body, and so on. So just brainstorm a little bit where you can find them, and then start connecting with those people. In those groups, people post stuff, you can comment, and you can just reach out, add people, and so on. So it's really not that hard to find them and start putting them into your own network. You can do that on LinkedIn, you can do that on Instagram. I'm sure you can do that on TikTok as well, if that's where your ideal clients are. So those are the two different things. And then really just start building the relationship, start having the conversations, and then be mindlessly mindful when you have the sense, and maybe you'll get it wrong a few times, and that's okay. You know, we do make mistakes, and we think that there is more relationship that we thought, and we'll just learn from that. I mean, 30 days is a whole lot of time if you do that on a daily basis. If on a daily basis you connect with a few new people and just go back to and reconnect with a few, the ones that you were already connected to, making 3 to 5 sales in 30 days is a no-brainer, provided that you really understand and you know who your ideal client is, and of course that your product or your service matches what they actually need and what they are willing to pay for. So I'm coming from a place where I believe that all of you have already done a little bit of product market fit to verify and validate that somebody really wants what you have to offer and they're willing and ready to pay for it. That's and knowing who your ideal client is. So if you don't have those two things yet, then you have to take a step back and first figure out those two things. Now, just a quick introduction. Some of you already know me, some of you don't know me that well. I was or am a serial entrepreneur for the past 24 years. I've grown and scaled multiple companies, my own and from my clients, to 7, 8, and 9, multiple 9 figures with the last one. I lost 20 million in the last recession and ended up 5 million in personal debt, went through depression, anxiety, suicide attempts, and all of that, and then slowly rebuilt myself back up. And then, like I mentioned, the last startup, I started and scaled that startup to multiple 9 figures in just 2 years. That's multiple 9 figures in revenue, not in profits. And then a Fortune 100 company actually took over that business. It was a competition takeover, so not allowed to talk too much about that, but still it was a very nice experience. And then I became a coach, a mentor, advisor to fellow entrepreneurs, to leaders. I also do leadership coaching with some Fortune 500 companies. One of them you might know is the fashion brand Coach New York. And yeah, apart from the business side, I'm a hobby chef of my imaginary 3 Michelin star restaurant at home. That everybody loves and enjoys. I'm absolutely sure about that. And I'm also a proud father of 4 rescued furry babies that are now downstairs sleeping and snoring while daddy is here doing this. Now, you probably already know Leverage of Trust. It's the mini course that tells you all about the foundation. It goes into the whole building the relationship. Uh, the cheat sheet, I will post it a few minutes after we end this in the Facebook group. So in our Leverage of Trust Facebook group. So I think you're all already in the group, but just in case you aren't, I'll add that PDF in there, and you can let me know how that works for you once you try it. Now, of course, if you need more help on getting the product market fit together, and then once you create the first few sales and you start generating some cash flow, and now you say, okay, my idea is validated and proven, and now I want to build a solid business on solid foundations, then you can check out my other program, frameworkforfreedom.com, which is really all about laying down strong foundations to take your business to the 6-figure level. Yeah, now we will have the Q&A. And in regards to the live training, thank you very much for being here. I will now stop sharing the screen if I can think of how to. Oh, I have to click exit. And then feel free to unmute yourself and ask any questions that you want. So